Hi there! Are you tired of so-called peacekeeping? Or maybe you're tired of the Jedi Council telling you what to do? Well, if that sounds like you, let me introduce you to Order 66 Services, the galaxy's #1 solution for Jedi removal. Whether it's one annoying Padawan or a whole Jedi temple of glow-stick wielding peace preachers, Order 66 Services is here to help with speed, precision, and that good old Imperial charm. Our team of certified brain chip professionals guarantees a 99.9% Jedi cleanup in under 12 parsecs or your credits back.
No promises on the 0.01% Jedi left over.
So what are you waiting for? Call the number down below, 1420 DIEJEDI. That's 1420 Die Jedi. Call now and you'll get a free inhibitor chip. Upgrade for your whole battalion. Order 66 Services. We blast so the peace lasts.
Side effects may include existential dread, emotional instability, and long-term galactic consequences. Not liable for any Sith Lords pulling the strings.
Bam! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, Gungans Droid, and all of you beautiful clone troopers that have chips inside your mind. To today's video, we are at the start of an exciting journey, the beginning of a new era in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, where we're already seeing big changes with the one and only Lord Vader and the new addition of CC1119 Appo! Don't worry, people, you're not gonna need to apologize to Lord Vader much longer for how trash he's been in the game. Oh, I am excited. Where's my cable? There it is. Plugging, engage. People, we got a lot to go over today. I know this is just the beginning of the new clone trooper love for Lord Vader, but boy, we are already seeing some pretty noticeable improvements, and we still got 3 more dark side clone troopers to go. So people, smash that like button, get hyped, and let's go ahead and start this conversation. Oh man, where to start? Few things I want to point out here. First and foremost, yes, we still have 3 more dark side clone troopers to come. There are a few bugs right now, par for the course for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And we are promised some future touch-ups, reworks, even Lord Vader himself. And we're already seeing some pretty nifty things. Before we start going over gameplay, I want to point out something that's very important. Yes, I know it's kind of the boogeyman in the room. People are like, we don't want to talk about the elephant in the room here, but the game's got to make money, right? Somehow, this game has made somewhere in $2 billion+ over this past 7 years. How does that happen? Well, people spend the big bucks, and there is a drastic change in the way they're selling characters now. Now, I don't know if this is going to be for every character moving forward, but we're seeing a pattern, and we're seeing to cut it quick and simple. Let me show you guys the new math on what it is to get a new day 1 character, and hopefully they keep this model going forward, because they give context. For the longest time, you would pay $330 for a new character. You don't know if they were gonna be good. Sometimes it would just sit on a shelf, not to be touched for a long time, and there was really not much added benefit. But now they're changing the game. Let me show you real quick. So here's the quick math. You get the 55 shards for free just by doing that first tier, the marquee event, right? If you were gonna spend physical money on buying a character, of course, you can go ahead and open up crystal packs, but it would be a lot cheaper if you had that physical money. Massive discount. If you bought that $20 episode pass, which has a ton of value in and of itself, minus the shards, you would get 20 shards there, just from that episode pass. Then there's a $30 pack, which gives you another 30 shards, plus some things like Omicrons. Then, when you do the $30 pack, it unlocks secret bonus content pack. For another $75, you would get 100 shards, some big Kyro tech in there. And then once you have all those character shards, you could do the rest of the marquee event, getting the 40 free remaining shards from the event. And this has been kind of a thing for a while. Then for the rest of the week, if you played all the marquee events, you basically get the 7-star for free. So long story short, before tax, it would be 125 USD to get a character running. Now, of course, you can say this and that about the real world pricing, but focusing on the Galaxy of Heroes economy, this is a huge change, going from $330 for your average Joe character, and they might not be good, they might not be important, you might not use them for weeks and months, to now $125 for a single character. And then, of course, we're not including the other value from the episode pass, the other things associated with the other packs you buy. Plus, we know that the marquee event gives a bunch of other free goodies like Omicrons, Chirotech, all that fun stuff. And furthermore, we also know we have the new limited time edition era battles, which is like a mini assault battle that will utilize your new clones, and that's additional value. I like assault battles, a lot of great stuff in there. And then furthermore, we know these clones are going to be used for the upcoming raid, and that is the final piece of the value associated with them, and that's not even including how the teams might be good in the game in general. So they've really changed the economy from being this incredibly $330 premium that, you know, we could go over and how many characters aren't really worth $330 to now massive discount plus a bunch of rebate-like offers, getting all this additional value through other in-game stuff. Pretty big change, but I want to put that out there before we talk about the actual character itself. But worthy to note, you know, before to get 4 characters would be like $1,200. Now to get 4 characters, it's like $500, something of that nature. So we'll see if they keep this pricing package going forward, or this is like a limited time thing they're seeing, and maybe people are going to buy more than before. Because let's be real, we've analyzed the Galaxy of Heroes numbers, still doing well, but it's definitely a downward overall trajectory in terms of revenue over the years. So they're trying to think of new ways of incentivizing people to spend money on a character, because in this game, there has been really a lot of incentive to buy a character day one. They're trying to change that up now. So putting that out there. Well, let's actually talk about the actual character itself. Oh my goodness. Let's get this out of the way. I had a ton of questions about modding during our stream yesterday, which, by the way, big thanks to all of you guys for coming out to the stream. So we had an absolute blast. Let me quickly showcase the beautiful graphic provided by the one and only Appo. He'll be more than happy to help you with mod advice, remodding your roster if you need that, so feel free to reach out to him. He put together this graphic for us showing that we really want to lean into the offensive capabilities of this character. Health set, offense set, really leaning into that offense, and boy, this character and his fellow spawnable companion, the Night Trooper, or Nightfall Trooper, they hit really darn hard. So offense is gonna be the way to go for this character, and the good thing is he's got a great base speed of 188, so you even got some good speed to work with, even though we're mostly focused on right now the offense for this guy. Whew, but okay, all right, we got the mods out of the way. What's the best way I can explain this? Now again, we're missing on 1, 2, 3 more dark side clone troopers, which again, if you don't know which those are, we've already had confirmation of that through the data mines and more official confirmation through Siege. Let's pull it up real quick. So we are already confirmed that CX2 is going to be the next dark side clone trooper, the guy from Bad Batch Season 3, which was not Tech, but we kind of assume is Tech. Then DCT is Disguised Clone Trooper, is going to be the following one. And then the last dark side clone trooper they're holding on to is Scorch, the Clone Commando. So they're saving kind of the big one for last year. And I guess side point, I said this a few times, as much as I wish we had the full, like a 501st and kind of like a dark side version of the General Anakin Skywalker team, I'd rather take my clones than whatever weird mishmashy things that he's got going on. Maul and Lord Vader, yeah, they're not really, you know, they're not really cool with one another here, no. So with that said, before getting the rest of the clone troopers, I should probably state here, pretty much all the gameplay you're gonna see today is the scary D word, Datacron. Da, da, da. But hold on for a second. Let me quickly clarify why this is going to be mostly Datacron gameplay. Well, it's kind of something that kind of leans into something that's unfortunate for this guy. Even though he's got the clone trooper tag, a lot of his kit revolves around having a full dark side clone team and Lord Vader at the helm. The problem is, it's kind of hard having a full dark side clone trooper team. So right now, the Datacron that is provided, I guess that's another thing. If you buy the character now, the Datacron basically lets you use the character right away instead of waiting several months, which is a very stupid philosophy. Here, buy the character. Oh, by the way, you got to wait 3 to 4 months using it. Makes no sense. So again, you have to understand why Siege is making some pretty big changes to buying characters, because why would I want to buy a character day one if I can't even use them? I get no additional value for them. They're changing the game, but that's anyways. We already talked about that. Basically, the level 9, if you just read that first clause, if the allied leader is Lord Vader and all their allies are Empire, the conditions requiring all other allies to be dark side clone troopers for CC 1119, Appo's Vader's Fist unique ability are considered met. So this is why we need the Datacron right now. I know you guys generally hate Datacrons, but you need the Datacron to understand Appo, or else he's not going to really show us much. So it gives us a little peek as to what we can expect once we have the rest of the dark side clone troopers. So with all that said, with those caveats I provided there, I am already seeing a noticeable improvement with Lord Vader, with Appo on the team. I almost feel like they could have, if they maybe reworked it so you didn't need a full dark side clone trooper team, I feel like they could have almost just dropped this character in, replace someone else on the team, maybe just take out Maul, because they're nuking this whole entire lineup. We'll get to it. I'm already feeling a noticeable improvement. Between that unique ability, Vader's Fist, which we have some bugs we got to address here, and especially the new debuff Order 66, holy moly, with the side order of Master Choli, it's already making huge differences. Be able to easily dispel buffs on enemy teams, prevent revives, working around taunting tanks that rely on all these heavy buffs, massive changes. And it already looks like this alone shuts down pretty much the old school non-galactic legend counter, Fennec Shad. Already, end of story. That right there is a big improvement. And I'm seeing this being the easiest ever I've had Lord Vader versus Jedi Master Kenobi, and he doesn't even need Maul anymore. That, my friends, is a big, huge thing for Lord Vader to be boasting about right now. So, okay, how about we go into some more deets then? That's your quick summary. Basically, everything you remember, you know about Lord Vader, delete it out of your head. Not like you need to remember much about it because we didn't really like him that much around here. But now we need to keep our minds open moving forward because they nuked everything we know about Lord Vader. They just nuking everything. We are basically hitting a complete reset button on Lord Vader. Now the whole entire Lord Vader team is going to rely on dark side clone troopers. Maul, we got to get it out of our minds. Lord Vader is basically becoming a lifter-less team. He was one of the first teams to have a lifter to now having no lifter. And again, good things about this. Maul is a great free agent. Use him with Mandalorians, use him with Sierra June to Star Killer. The list goes on and on. What you can do with this guy, tons of fun, tons of utilization. But now moving forward, once we have the rest of the team in place, there's going to be no more Maul. It's all about dark side clone troopers, and this is going to free up some teams, free up some characters, I say, for better, for worse. Things like Royal Guard. Ooh, it's going to suck not being able to get utilization of Royal Guard. Maybe he'll work his way into some future new team, potentially. I can't make any promises on that right now. But this right here, basically, my opinion, if you're nuking and resetting the entire Lord Vader lineup, it basically means you acknowledge, yeah, you kind of messed it the first time, but don't worry. In the wise words of W. Bush, fool me once, shame on you. And if you fool me, you can't fool me again. The CG motto when it comes to Lord Vader. Let's break down some of the individual mechanics about this. And really, I would be remiss if I didn't get to the thing that makes it all tick in a whole new direction for Lord Vader. And we're only seeing what I hope to be the first little inklings of understanding this Lord Vader lineup. No witnesses having the Order 66 effect, which, let's just get to it. Order 66 makes enemies immune to buffs and can't be revived if defeated. You see this heavily on buff-heavy teams, like, for example, a Jedi Master Kenobi team, which is always an uphill battle for Lord Vader. Get it? Because he had the high ground. Anyways, when Padme Amidala is trying to give a bunch of buffs to the team, no, nothing. When General Kenobi wants a ton, no, nothing. It's almost like, the best way I can phrase it, it's sort of like a mini isolate. Anyway, you can't get buffs when you're isolated, right? It's sort of like that. Huge thing to add to this team. And I want to make note, the Datacron makes Order 66 happen a little bit more than what you're supposed to have right now. But I want to believe as we get more dark side clones, and again, we're making an assumption. You know what happens when you assume, you make a you know what out of you and me. But right now, the Datacron gives us a little bit more Order 66 than what Appo can technically offer for himself. But again, we have 3 more clone troopers. Hopefully we get a little bit more Order 66 so we can see basically a solid degree of what we have right now. But right now, Appo in the Datacron, whenever an enemy dispels any amount of damage over time, which is going to happen a ton, he's going to gain a stack of Operation Nightfall, which we'll talk about in a minute. But he also is going to be able to inflict Order 66 on a random enemy that had a stack of damage over time dispelled. So you're going to get tons of Order 66 through, where normally Appo's only going to be able to give Order 66 to the enemy through no witnesses, and if the enemy that he's targeting had 8 or more stacks of damage over time. So I want to make sure we keep that in note, the difference between the gameplay and the reality is, but the problem is I can't really show the full reality because you need the full dark side clone trooper team again. Yeah, we already talked about why we kind of have to show the Datacron for the moment. So keep that in mind. That is going to be the big thing. But when Order 6-6 does apply, and there might be more ways of making it happen, sort of like, for example, the new Bad Batch team. You know, we're seeing captive target practice and how each character kind of contributes towards it, kind of builds up over time. I suspect Order 6-6 is going to play a bigger role as the team continues to grow over the upcoming weeks, all the way up to the new SWGoH. So that's the biggest thing. Order 6-6 is a huge debuff, and I think more than anything, the team, Lord Vader felt like he didn't really have an identity. Like Kenobi had an identity, Ahsoka's got an identity, Leia. Lord Vader just, I don't know. I just felt like he didn't have anything. His whole identity, I suppose, was hit auto and pray that within 5 minutes, he's gonna be able to beat a team. That was more or less the strategy, for better or for worse. Now we have an Order 66, the theme that's kind of built around this. It feels good. I wish they would redo his animation when he hits ultimate. You just see like a bunch of clone troopers come up behind him. Oh, I don't want to get my hopes up that much. They are gonna be touching him up in a different way. I digress. The next thing I want to talk about, the Vader's Fist, is the next big thing. And unfortunately, as of now, you need the Datacron to turn this on. But the good news is they give you the Datacron if you want to spend your 3 wacky numbers from your grandma's credit card here. But this is going to be the next big thing. And there is a bug. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But with Vader's Fist, Dark Side Clone Trooper allies are going to get 5 speed for each enemy, excluding summons at the start of the battle, doubled for each Jedi and light side unaligned force user enemy. It almost reminds me of Captain Rex in a way, right? Captain Rex in the Far Force lineup, there's a big speed boost. It sort of feels like that in a way. And then for each Jedi and light side unaligned force user enemy, and if all allies are Empire, you summon a Nightfall Trooper into the ally slot. And this is tons of fun because right off the get-go, while an allied Nightfall Trooper is active, Appo's gonna have 50% offense. One of the reasons why you want a mod for offense for Appo. Yeah. Furthermore, whenever an enemy is defeated, reduce the cooldown of no witnesses by 1. That's the big ability that we just discussed a moment ago. And at the start of his turn, Appo dispels foresight on all enemies. That's great. Don't have to deal with that stupid trash. It's almost like sort of Darth Revan Bastila, right? It could dispel foresight at the very beginning. Enemies without foresight dispelled this way are exposed for 2 turns. So you're going to be gaining some benefit one way or another. And here's the big thing that, again, you need the Datacron, although the Datacron's broken. At the start of the encounter, if the ally in the leader slot is Lord Vader and all other allies are Dark Side Clone Troopers, and there's no enemy Galactic Legend, this took me a minute to kind of grasp onto, Appo gains Coruscant Commander until the first time he is defeated until the end of the battle. So you need Lord Vader, all the Dark Side Clone Troopers, which we only have 1 right now, so you could technically 2-man for the moment, but in the future, you don't need the Datacron to do this, but right now you kind of need it. It addresses that necessity there. And then furthermore, if the ally in the leader slot is Lord Vader and all their allies are Dark Side Clone Troopers, at the start of the battle, Appo's gonna recover 100% health and protection, making it difficult to try to multi-shot this. And at the start of the encounter, allied Lord Vader and Dark Side Clone Trooper allies gain dramatic entrance. A little bit of a bug with that right now. We'll talk about it. Dramatic entrance is a massive amount of damage that we have here. Appo's gonna gain 3 stacks of Operation Nightfall, critical for the Nightfall Trooper, which can't be dispelled or prevented. And then let's explain all these things. So Coruscant Commander basically turns this into, the best way to describe it, it's sort of an inverse Rey-Ben situation where you need to get Rey in the yellow in order to destroy Ben. Then you go back to Rey. It's a bit different. You need to completely delete Lord Vader before you can delete Appo. So it's a little bit of an inverse there, creating a really powerful duo situation. But again, only works against non-Galactic Legend teams. Then Operation Nightfall, whenever Nightfall Trooper is defeated, the spawnable unit, it's wild to see a spawnable unit for a Lord Vader team. You remove 1 stack of Operation Nightfall from Appo and summon a Nightfall Trooper. So when you lose one, you get to bring him back again. Night Sister zombie-ish type of stuff we have here. And this guy hits hard. This isn't one of those spawns where you're like, yeah, you don't really pay attention. The Nightfall Trooper spawn hits incredibly hard. Then dramatic entrance. There's a lot of stuff just built in here. It's coming from the ship aspect of the game. You get 25% offense at the very beginning of the battle when it works. Then you can deal bonus true damage equal to 10% of the target's max health, which can't be evaded, 20% turn meter gain, and dramatic entrance for 2 turns if this unit defeats an enemy. Wowza. Yeah, that's a dramatic entrance if you ask me. Huge things that we have here. But again, it requires having Lord Vader in the lead and a full team of Dark Side Clone Troopers. So if you, let's say, without the Datacron, had Appo, Lord Vader, and then your usual Piet Maul Royal Guard, you don't get any of that stuff. So again, it's going to be very specific. They're really hand tailoring what this team is supposed to do. So that's going to be a big deal with that unique ability there in play. And to put these things together between No Witnesses and Vader's Fist, take a look at, for example, some of the bounty hunter stuff. Classic bread and butter, Fennec Shan versus them, several problems. Before even talking about the bugs, the problem with Order 66 is Grief Karga can't stand their stealth. The whole point of a Fennec Shan team, lots of cleanses going on. And if they're cleansing, getting rid of damage over time, getting Order 66 on them, they can't get buffs. And if Grief Karga can't hide under stealth, well, instead of being the last one to dive, he's usually one of the first to go off. And then with all this increased damage, the opening play from a Lord Vader team, big damage. It's like Mando doesn't know who to put damage immunity on. So it really disrupts, or even Boss taunting. If he's got Order 66, he can't taunt. So a lot of problems when you kind of merge those things together. And a few other tidbits I want to point out here. Basic ability is pretty cool. He's able to call all other attacker allies with defense penetration up to assist. So it's kind of a mini-ish Piet type of thing on his basic ability. And Lord Vader basically always gets defense penetration up from Appo. And then he's also got a pretty nifty on Nightfall, pretty nifty buff this spell. Then furthermore, he can stun an enemy, call a Darkside Clone Trooper support ally to assist, and puts them under stealth. Pretty cool stuff. And more or less, the Nightfall Trooper is sort of a variation of Appo himself, where the basic ability is able to give out defense penetration up, call people to assist, so pretty similar in that regard. Then the special ability, he's also got a way to call another ally to assist, pretty nice stuff. And then his unique ability, big deal here. Battalion Brothers, whenever Nightfall Trooper ally uses an ability, he gains 20% offense stacking, double if he scores a critical hit. These are huge gains, and this guy does not hit like a win. So the damage is there. Now they are starting to have buff control on the other team. Plenty of ways to just make that unique ability on Vader's Fist really translate into something meaningful. But now there's a few issues I want to make sure that are addressed. First and foremost, despite having a Clone Trooper tag, it does not have a 501st tag, so can't use him in the 501st lineup. And technically, you could use him in Empire and Clone lineup, so you could throw him in a Shock T lineup. You could throw him with the Emperor Palpatine lineup, but so much of this kit revolves around needing a Lord Vader, having Darkside Clone Trooper, so it feels almost akin to Asajj Ventress with like a General Grievous lineup. Yeah, there's something there, but not really. So you're not gonna get that much plug and play viability. And I wanna talk about the touch-ups that Lord Vader's gonna be getting. Yes, they're gonna be touching up Lord Vader a little bit to address the new changes that we're gonna be seeing here. So take a look at this, my friend. If you guys remember, in the Appo kit reveal, they told us, because the biggest problem I'm seeing right now, Lord Vader's kit is designed for unaligned Force users, Darkside unaligned Force users probably. But the problem is here, we're not seeing Lord Vader ramp up his ultimate nearly as fast. And furthermore, we're not seeing Lord Vader be able to get that damage reduction that Darkside unaligned Force users provide. Well, they say here, we will be updating Lord Vader's kit to include Darkside Clone Troopers, also accelerating Lord Vader's ultra charge the same way unaligned Force users do. So the biggest thing that I'm seeing right now, if I can't use Maul, Lord Vader feels like he takes a while to get to ultimate. That will be addressed in a future update as well. And don't forget, on top of that, we are going to be getting a update to the one and only Grand Moff Tarkin as well, to use these Darkside Clone Troopers in case you don't have Lord Vader. Hopefully we can get some use out of Appo, because my concern is you need Lord Vader for a lot of things, but we'll have to wait and see when that Tarkin rework drops. Pretty exciting stuff. Oh yeah, and don't forget, he's required at Relic 5 for Mace Window. So this guy's gonna be needed for a ton of stuff. And I wanna point out the bugs really quick here. As we wrap this thing up, we'll talk quickly about Zeta recommendations. You know, it's still a little early. We have no idea where this team's really heading towards. It looks promising, but we gotta wait and see. First thing that I'm saying, we've been using Datacrons for most of this gameplay just so we could try to get that unique ability activated. However, there is a problem. The unique ability is supposed to be turned on by the Datacron, but it's not. So that means you're not getting the invincible Appo, which, you know, you have to kill Lord Vader before you kill off the Appo. You're not getting Coruscant Commander. We're also seeing that Nightfall Trooper's not reviving himself. That's kind of a problem. And another big problem, there's no dramatic entrance. So this works if you go and it's just Appo and Lord Vader. But for whatever reason, the Datacron is not turning it on. So it looks like Appo's kit works, but the Datacron that's given to you isn't turning it on. So allegedly CG's looking into it. I suspect that will be fixed, but if you are someone that's going to be buying this character, playing around with this, or you're going to be fighting up against them, do note that right now, Appo's stuff is not working, so might not get you the results you're wanting to see in 5v5 Grand Arena, but I suspect seeing that people are probably buying this, they want to make sure it works, so keep your eyes peeled on that. And then lastly, let's go over Zeta recommendations as we wrap this up here. Again, pretty early. We have to wait and see where the full team's going. Things could change, but as we discussed today, the two biggest things about this Appo here is number one, Order 66, and number two, all the good shenanigans in that Vader's Fist unique ability. Well, this guy's got, well, 2 Zetas. Let me show you. All right, so first off, we have ourselves no witnesses. It has the Order 66. That's kind of one of the biggest things about this team. The Order 66 is a huge deal. Now, I will say, you know, if you have the Datacron, you probably don't need this right now. I'm going to assume it's going to make a bigger difference in the future. But I think if you only had one Zeta you could splurge on right now, Vader's Fist is the best one to apply right now. And then we'll see in the future if this could be a 2 Zeta character. I suspect it will be. But on Vader's Fist, the unique ability gives you the Coruscant Commander, and also it gives you the 100% health of protection recovery at the start of a battle. You also get yourselves the Dramatic Entrance, the Operation Nightfall, so that's gonna be the obvious one to apply first, but you might want to apply the other one if you just want to get ahead of the curve. But, you know, just if you want, wait and see for the rest of the team to pan out. Overall, my friends, you know, I've been playing this game for a long time. And, you know, even in the stuff that someone may say are probably the least interesting thing about Star Wars, I'm always having a good time checking out all these new eras, the new characters and whatnot. But let's be real, even though I love them all, there are some that I love a little bit more than others. I am ecstatic that we're starting off strong with this Clone Trooper. They've dropped the price down tremendously. Tons of extra added value needed for a legendary, needed for the future raid, making Lord Vader's new image seem promising. I can't wait to see the rest of the Dark Side Clone Troopers coming. And of course, it's Revenge of the Sith stuff, so what's there not to like, my friends? That's gonna wrap it up for today. A lot of stuff to talk about. Hopefully you guys are as excited as I am and maybe impressed with where things are going. We're just getting started. 3 more Clone Troopers to go. I hope this is finally gonna be the end of the Lord Failure era, but you know, sometimes Lord Vader likes to do funny stuff. What if somehow this team still fails after 3 new characters? Well, at least they're required for a raid, a new character, and they have a bunch of goodies. Yeah, but I'm feeling optimistic. I really am. So let's wait and see, my friends. In the meantime, leave that like, comment down below, subscribe, so you're not missing a thing. And always remember, although we're a different empire than that one in Star Wars, we'll give them a shout out and say, it's great to be in the Empire today.